Greetings everyone, and welcome back to the cleaned up bench. Yes, I actually cleaned this up. It's not a big mess anymore. Well, there's some components here I need to sort through, but yeah, actually cleaned her up. What I have here spread out on the bench is a bunch of these amplifier boards, and even the ones here in a case. I previously reviewed all of these on my channel here, and in this video I want to pick the best amplifiers that I've reviewed. I want to do it a little bit differently. I want to pick 4 amplifiers that are the best. The reason for that is because different people have different needs. So if I have a low power amplifier that's good, I don't want to eliminate it just because there's a high power amplifier. You know, somebody might be looking for a decent low power amplifier. So I want to include that in the final. So what I'm going to do here is go through a process of elimination and kind of describe why I'm eliminating it and why I'm keeping a certain amplifier. And we'll get down to the final 4 here. Except that this is not March Madness. I should mention that these are all audio power amplifiers. I'm not reviewing the headphone amplifiers and the preamps that I've done in the past. These are all meant for driving speakers. And there are 3 different types. There's the ones that come in a case. They're the types that you have to solder together, like these here. And of course, just the plain old boards that you buy. They're all put together, but they don't include a case. Now, there's one amplifier that I can think of that's missing, the TDA 2030A solder together kit. I looked all over for it and I can't find it. I did a video on it about a month ago, or actually it's been a few months ago. But, you know, I still have this TDA 2030A board that came complete. You know, it's already put together. But that other amplifier wasn't very good anyway, so it wouldn't make it very far in this little amplifier contest. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, of these 3 cased amplifiers, we have the Breeze Audio here. It's a TPA 3116. Nice looking little amp in the kind of a grayish bluish anodized case. And a couple Kenters, an MA150 and 170. Which one will go? Well, I'm going to take this one out. It's an okay amplifier. Has the bass treble controls and volume. Little neat color changing light around the volume control. But I'm going to eliminate this because the chip inside can only handle 8 ohm loads. But it's still good if you're going to use it with 8 ohm speakers. You know, this amplifier was a little better in that it could handle more power, the MA150 here. So we have 2 left in contention. But let's move on to some boards. Which boards should I eliminate first? I'm going to get rid of these PAM 8610 boards. If you remember, I had a problem. You know, they were fairly noisy, had a lot of noise at low volume and distortion at low volume. So I tried another board and it had the same problem. So, you know, I'm not sure if it's the 8610 chip or just a couple bad laid out boards or something causing that. But didn't like them, so they're out. Okay, what solder together kit should I get rid of first? I have this one. This is a TPA 3122D2. It's not a bridged amp, so it's not real powerful. And we have the 7293 board here. LM1875. And what else? Oh yeah, this GLH Class A kit. Well, I'm going to pull this one out first. For a Class D, it draws a lot of idle current. For, you know, supplying it with 12 volts, it draws over 100 milliamps. It's not even bridged. One of the problems is, I think it's the ferrite cores. They're not the proper type for the switch mode frequency this chip uses. These actually get kind of warm just sitting idle because of that. So it draws a lot of power. And for some reason, I don't know if it's a problem with mine. Everything seems to be put together just right, but it's very distorted at low volumes. There's something wrong with it. So that goes first. Okay, that was kind of a round one there, I guess. Let's take a look at the cased amplifiers again. Which one is going to go? Well, I bet you can guess. Goodbye, Kenter MA150. This amplifier was very good. TPA 3116. It's just a nice, neat looking amplifier. The only weird thing with it is when you turn it off, it's only standby mode. The power LED is still on dimmer, so it's not really turning it off. That's kind of a weird thing with this amplifier. Gives you decent power. And if I didn't mention this, I'll put a link to all the winning components here in the description, so you can go watch the video if you want to know more about the amplifier. I'm not going to describe every single aspect of the amplifier. So the Breeze audio amplifier is the first winner we have picked, but we still have a lot of other amplifiers to eliminate. Okay, what am I going to eliminate next? Well, I'm eliminating in pairs because there's so many of them, but this one here is a TPA 3110D2. As I remember, it wasn't bad. It just, they didn't put a heat sink on it. And even though it's Class D, it still has to dissipate heat, especially when you're running 4 ohm loads. So you can't use 4 ohm loads with this one at higher voltages. When you're running at 12 volts, this is too much heat. So get rid of that one. And this one here is the TA2024. It's a very early board that I reviewed. I'm not even sure they still make this one. But this thing had some problems as well. It did not have a heatsink. I actually put that on. And when you power this thing up, it actually sends voltage back into your device you connected it to. And my digital music player does not like that, and it makes a loud squeak sound. But anyway, get rid of that. Solder together kit. I'm going to pull this one out. It's the Class A JLH kit. This thing was fraught with problems. I think they're using fake transistors or counterfeit transistors. And if I remember from the video, it was oscillating, doing something, and I had to put a capacitor in there to stabilize it. So the kit had some issues, so I'm going to pull it out here. Okay, let's keep going here. This is a little TDA 7297. Not a bad little amp. Could not handle 4 ohm loads though. And yeah, I might be skewed a little bit. I'd like to see amplifiers handle 4 ohm loads, but this one couldn't do it. The chip is not meant to do it, and the heatsink's not sized to do it. So we'll pull that one out. This board, though it might interest some people, it has tone controls, and you can put your music in here, and has a couple microphone jacks, and volume controls are separate for each, so you can use this as a very simple mixer amplifier. It's a TDA 8946 chip, and has a very nice sized heatsink, but it also does not handle 4 ohm loads. The chip they used wasn't really meant to handle that. But I think some people would like this. However, I'm going to eliminate it. I wasn't super impressed with it. If I recall, I think it was a little light on the bass. Well, we're getting a smaller and smaller batch here. What should I eliminate next? Well, I'm going to get rid of this TDA 2030A. Although I like the chip, I'm pretty sure this is counterfeit, and it has a very small heat sink, very small value output capacitor. It can't handle a lot of power because of the small size. I wasn't really impressed with it. They were very cheap though, but you know, it's got to go. Next one is a TDA 2822, I believe the little chip number is. It's a little stereo amp. Just wasn't impressed with it. I had to mod it, put larger caps in it, put a heat sink on it. And it's not real powerful, but like I say, some people may not need a lot of power. It's good once modded, but yeah, I wasn't real thrilled with it, you know, out of the box, so it's got to go. Next up are a couple Yamaha YDA, but they scraped the numbers off. I don't remember what the actual part number was. I remember the big problem with this is they use these really tiny output filter chokes, and with 4 ohm loads they get really hot. Now, each amplifier has 2 channels and they're bridged together so you can handle lower impedance loads, yet the coils let it down because they get very hot when you try to drive 4 ohm loads. And really a design failure there, so that one's out. This was a nice sounding amplifier, but you know, they didn't put a heat sink on it. You know, it does have some dissipation in the back of the board, but you really need a nice sized aluminum heat sink there to get rid of some of that heat. Another thing I didn't like with this is when you crank it up louder, it has an anti-distortion circuit that backs the bass off, and the bass sounds really thin when you turn it up. Yeah, it kind of disappointed there. You know, if it wasn't for that, it'd be a very good amp, but eliminated. Next to eliminate is this TDA 7492 board. It was a pretty good board. It has a decent sized heat sink. You know, the filters are decent sized. As I remember though, it was pretty hissy. It had a lot of noise, and that's one issue I've seen with quite a few of these Class D boards. So it's gone. Ooh, look at this. We're down to 4 amplifiers, and we're going to keep 3 of them. So which one's going to go? These are both single channel TPA 3116s. They were really good, but this one, if you remember my video, I had to modify it. They used a preamp on this amplifier. They really didn't have to do that, and that caused some issues with it. I actually bypassed the preamp, and it turned out to be a very good amp. Nice big chunky output chokes, very nice large heat sink. It didn't get warm at all. Well, it didn't get hot at all, I should say, during the test. But, you know, it had that issue. It has to be modded. It's eliminated. Okay, so now we have 4 left. This is the other TPA 3116. This one, I was really impressed with. It didn't have to mod it. It's got nice big coils, very nice sized heat sink. Gave me 50 watts of power and 24 volts. I mean, this one did as well, but it had to be modded. No problem with noise, though I notice with high impedance inputs, some people complained about some hiss, but if you connect it to a lower impedance source, it was pretty quiet really. So this wins the Class D. You know, this is a single channel board, but you know, you have one heat sink for the one channel. If you want a stereo board, get another board. They're only $6 or $7. So the rail filtering caps and the heat sink only have to deal with one channel. So yeah, excellent board, thumbs up. This stays around as the low power amp. It's a PAM 8403. If you're looking for a tiny stereo amp that runs on 5 volts, perfect. Gave decent power. It sounded good. And this is the winner for the low power amp. Now here's the troubling one. Which one do I pick? Yeah, I might just have to keep both of them. This is the LM1875 board. This is the TDA 7293 board. Yep. Probably the most powerful amp I reviewed on the bench. You know, you could get a solid 75 watts out of this thing with the right power supply. But I really like this LM1875 board. It's simple, very low cost. You could get a solid 25 watts out of it, maybe more if you want to push it. Whoops. I couldn't measure any distortion from this thing. Noise is low. This is my personal favorite amplifier of all of them. I'll just mention that right away. But it is hard to disqualify any one of these amps. So, you know, I might just keep both of these here. I really like them. And here you go, the 5 winners. Yeah, I did have to bend my rules a little bit, and you know, like I said, these are both excellent little amps. I just couldn't get rid of one of them. Of course, if you need a low power amplifier, the PAM 8403 stereo board runs on 5 volts. And it's excellent if you don't need a lot of power. Of course, the Breeze Audio TPA 3116 and the TPA 3116 mono board. Both did their job well. And as far as the Class D boards go, the TPA 3116 boards have really shined for me. I didn't notice the problems I had with the other ones, like excessive noise, and you know, they, at least with the way they laid the board out, they gave it a nice sized heat sink, and it didn't have issues with driving low impedance loads and getting real hot like some of the other boards did. Okay, so where does it go from here? Will I be testing any more boards? Absolutely, I plan to test more boards. Now, the funny thing with YouTube is, although I've been getting more subscribers, the ad revenue has dropped. I'm like 1/3 what I was. I don't know what happened. It's my fault. It's just people don't watch my channel as much. You know, in the spring I was doing really well. Channel was growing ever since I monetized, you know, a little over a year before that time, but you know, since May it's been dropping severely. I checked what they're paying per mil, in other words, per 1,000 videos, or I'm sorry, per 1,000 views, and it's about the same. So it's not YouTube decreasing revenue or anything. It's just not as many people are watching my channel, unfortunately. So not making the revenue I was. I haven't really been pushing my P.O. box, but I haven't been getting anything in there either. I had some of these amps people sent in to me for review. And another problem I had with Banggood, you know, like I told them up front, I call them as I see it. You know, if it's a bad product, I'm going to say it. That's what it is. And unfortunately, of the amps they sent me in the last batch, like 3 of them, it just weren't that good. I didn't give them very favorable reviews. And I don't think I'm going to be doing any more product reviews from them unless they contact me. So, you know, I do it for you guys, not for them. I really appreciate that they sent me those boards for free to test, but I'm just not going to call them roses and rainbows when they're a brown pile of dog crap. So, you know, I just may not get any more freebies to review from them. Another thing people ask me, will I review higher power amplifiers? That is something that's questionable. I don't know. Those tend to be more expensive. The nicer ones, you know, when you're getting into a 100 or 200 watt Class D board, you know, those, you're getting into $30. The nicer ones are $50 or more. I just can't lay that kind of money out to do a video on it. It would never pay for itself. You'd have to get a lot of views for something like that to pay for it. In closing, I'd like to give a big thumbs up for the new Patreon supporters. You know, I very recently set up Patreon, and people are helping there. You know, that might offset the ad revenue issue somewhat. We'll see how that goes. Didn't think I'd get that many Patreon supporters. I figured I'd get maybe like 4 or 5, but I think I got 14 starting up here, so that's very good. That can help. Hope you stick around. The next installment of my amplifier build project, where I'm building a discrete amplifier, I think you really like that one. Like I said, I want to put some other videos in, so it might be a couple videos before I put that up. I think that one's going to be neat, and you folks might be interested in watching that one. Well, that wraps it up here. Thanks for watching.